Today I'm talking to MEGAN McINNIS, Executive Director and President of Doing Good, a terrific nonprofit organization that has recently started producing a TV show which enhances and complements their message. It features volunteers who make a difference in other people's lives throughout the world and who flourish in the enjoyment that comes from giving. MEGAN and I talk about what shifted her into inspiring and empowering people to impact our world. I'm Tai Chi. At 19, I was a superstar and I was lost inside. I left it all behind, switched continents, and started all over. Years later, I found myself lost again, this time in the American dream. This is a story about awakening, about living the life you were created for, about going inward and discovering the joyous and purposeful person you and I are both meant to be. This is Waking Up in America. So MEGAN, thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you for letting me be here. I'm so excited.
So do you remember where we met?
At FilmCom this year, which is held every year in Nashville.
Yeah, it's an awesome thing. So there's a lot of filmmakers from all over, and it's a really beautiful way that Nashville brings people together. And I hear that that's very specific to Nashville. We're in Old Gallery, and I had Olga, the owner of Old Gallery, on my show, and she was saying how this place came to life because of the community. And so Nashville, it's a Nashville thing.
Oh, definitely, yes. I think everywhere you go within Nashville, there's another pocket of a community. And then it's like a big, small town wherever you go in the city, because it is a city, but it's got small town charm.
So out of all those people and all those booths, yours drew me tremendously. What do you think? Why did that happen?
I have no idea, but I am eager to know. Other than the big logo that we have with the big thumbs up, I'm not sure.
Yes, a part of it is doing good. I am drawn to anything that says doing good.
Oh, good. Yeah. We need more people like that in the world, I think.
And then, of course, it was you. I can't. You were a big part of it, because not only there's doing good, but there's MEGAN. You just radiate this beautiful energy, this beautiful, let's together do good.
Thank you so much. Well, I think that's what we should all be aiming for, is that we can all do something together and do it and go in the right direction and make a difference and impact somebody in a good, positive way.
So tell us a little bit about Doing Good.
Doing Good is a brand new 501c3 nonprofit, and so it's a nonprofit organization just like every other that you think about. It's just a new business model. And so what we do is act as the marketing PR department for volunteerism in general.
In general. So you're kind of like a big umbrella for all the doing goods.
Yes. Oh. For all those people who are doing good. And that brings up a good important point, is that we really try to focus on the people rather than the organizations themselves. We do believe that it's important to know, who you're volunteering with and what organizations do what in your local communities. But in all honesty, every community has to deal with hunger and homelessness and literacy and more. And so generally, it's like, I think I've mentioned to you before, Maya Angelou's favorite quote for me is that we are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. And so I think that when we come together as a community and we talk about the cause being either hunger or literacy or education, then frankly, we can encourage people to do more. If someone by chance happens to find out about volunteering for an organization, and that one organization doesn't have an opening that one day, we don't want anybody to be discouraged.
Right.
So we do believe that it's important to just realize that there are options out there. And, frankly, just get out and do something. It doesn't have to be big.
Yeah, I seem to always sign up for the job at my kid's school that's already taken.
Yes.
And then I'm like, and then, but it's really... one thing that struck me when we talked about this before before the cameras started rolling is that you mentioned you went out into the community
Oh.
And you asked questions and you really did extensive research, right? And got some really good partners on board.
Well, I think it's important. I was new to Nashville. I had driven through here before, and I'm from Tennessee originally, so of course I knew it was a good place, but I didn't know people here. So when I first came to town, I just started meeting with literally anyone who would talk to me. And so I sat down one-on-one with a few hundred people and just asked them questions about what works and what doesn't, what do they like about volunteering here and what do they not like. And it's amazing the kind of information that you get when you talk with people one-on-one. It's not an electronic survey. No offense to any electronic survey companies. But I do believe it's important just to really get on people's level and meet them wherever they're comfortable meeting and talk about what's important to them. And frankly, if you're out to make a big impact, then you need to start there.
Yes, and I love that approach, asking and listening. I think so much in our world today is happening because people feel like they're not being heard.
Oh, you're right.
And for you to, it's a couple of hundred of one-on-ones, that's a lot of your time and effort. And I think that's what we all desire. We all desire to be heard, but we also desire to connect with someone, especially when we're called to volunteer.
Right.
And you mentioned something, you loved volunteering from behind the conference table.
Yes, I do. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. And I enjoy putting a hammer to nail and building a house. And I enjoy being out there with the dogs and giving them hugs when nobody else will. And I enjoy feeding people but not everybody is a hands-on volunteer.
And it's perfect because it really sounds like, wake up to your life that you were created for, and then in that purpose, access the gifts that you have.
Yes.
And find a way to volunteer. Thank you so much. We will come back to that and talk about it when we come back. We're talking about doing good from behind the conference table. So I'm really curious how that happens and what that really means.
I think that could mean something different to everybody. But for me, I come from the world of marketing and PR. I worked for Disney in marketing and PR at Disney Institute for their film program. And frankly, I'm comfortable in that setting. And I think it's a matter of each person finding what he or she is good at or enjoys, and sometimes they're not always the same thing.
Right. Oh,
but
yes.
that's okay. That's okay. And so, if it's a matter of just brainstorming an idea with somebody. I know I have a volunteer lined up next week to brainstorm an event with me and with the artist that'll be involved.
So it sounds like to me you were, you were that person with the vision. You're the person that has the quality of, okay, I know who to call, I know how to put up a team, and I know how to make them do stuff. Is that kind of right?
I think that would be giving me entirely too much credit.
You are a leader. You went out, you created a great team around you, partners, sponsors, all of this.
But it took some time.
Absolutely.
It took time, and it took talking to people to find out, because everybody, especially when I first moved to town, everybody else knew what was going on. I didn't, and so it took me going out of my comfort zone to call up and meet random people who I didn't know. Which
is another characteristic of a great leader. You went out and listened.
Yes, well, that's an important part for anybody. I don't care who you are or what you do. But I think that in time, what ended up happening was the right people came together at the right time in different ways, so that way, frankly, each group involved or each individual involved could be involved in the ways that they wanted to. I really think, for example, that it's important for creative people to volunteer creatively. Not...
Oh, thank you. You mean like I can sing or write a song?
Share your talents.
Beautiful.
Share
I don't
your
have to feel
talents.
bad that I'm not out there building houses.
Exactly. You can do what you want to do. And, for regular people like me, if it's accounting or finance that really does it for you, or bookkeeping, great. You have no idea. Every single organization out there needs that person or 10. So it's just a matter of plugging in and finding where your skill set fits with who needs you at the time.
When we traveled around the country, we always asked for volunteers at their concerts because we wanted the community to come together. We wanted to give them something to do.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of people who sit there and say, I don't know, except for sending a check to my favorite charity, I don't know where to go. I don't know where I'm needed, and I don't know where I can be of use.
Oh,
And there's certainly people that. I'm one of them where I feel like I would be more of a burden in an organization because I don't naturally think of bringing lasagna, and so I would look at somebody like you and say, tell me what to do, and I would love to do it.
sure. Yes, of course. And nonprofits all over the world are begging for people to ask them that question. So if somebody's brave, just call the nonprofit you want to volunteer for directly and say, what is it that you want and what is it you need, and see if maybe there's an interest there that you match up with.
Yes.
Another way to do it is to go onto the website called volunteermatch.org. Or if you're lucky enough to be one of the few cities in the United States with a hands-on network chapter, then visit your local website there. So they're called typically Hands-On Nashville, Hands-On Atlanta, etc. But simply go onto those websites and click on the passion that you have or the skill sets that are being asked for and see if anything intrigues you. I will say Nadine Riani, who was a former Nashville's Volunteer of the Month, retired from a career in biomedical research. So she had so much science knowledge in her head, but she just wanted to make a difference. So she called up Park Center so she could help people with mental illness. It doesn't mean that necessarily one connects to the other, but she had an interest. She had a personal interest in that. So she started out folding towels. And eventually, after she said, I don't want to fold towels, she finally found herself teaching math and helping students one-on-one there.
I want to know what made you do what you're doing today. Like, how did this idea of doing good came about?
I just looked around and needed some good news one day.
Why?
I was going through a lot that, frankly, is probably no different than everybody else on this planet. I was going through a divorce, and during that time, I was also let go from my job. But the two combined, I just looked around and wanted some good news. And there was none anywhere, and that was ridiculous, I thought. And so to me, it just made sense to start a TV show because everybody, or not everybody, but so many people have access to television. And it's right there in their home. It's so easy for people to use. And, why not bring the family together to watch something positive about volunteers?
Great point you bring up. When you are in that place, you lose a job. You might not even lose a job, but you just have that hard day. And I know a lot of viewers, you're right, a lot of people go through that. A day when you just need to be picked up. And most of us are not going to go to your volunteering center.
No.
Because it's a hard step to make. Most of us will curl up with the blanket on the couch, eat some chocolate or ice cream, let's be honest, right? And watch TV. And you're right, that is so common, and that's the place. What was the first step you took?
Looking for website domain names that were any good.
Brilliant. So you really took an action.
Started. Yeah, and it began as a book. And I only got so far with that, even though I did make some progress, and I do think it'll return to that one day, because I think that if we can take a step back, it's important to reach people where they are. It doesn't matter if they have internet access. It doesn't matter if they have a TV or not. I think as long as you reach people where they are, whether it's in print, on the radio, on TV, or online, right now, that's where we're trying to reach people. And in time, we'll get to a book, and we'll get to other means as well. But yeah, the TV show, I think, is what I have found really pulls at people's hearts and what makes them excited. And they just look at me. You can see their light bulbs go off and say, oh, we need something like that so much.
Because everybody likes the human story.
Right.
Everybody likes to connect on an emotional level with another human being.
Right.
And you said it so beautifully. You quoted Maya Angelou. In those stories, we can realize how much more we're alike than different.
Right, exactly. You're right, and it's worldwide. It doesn't have to be just in a certain state.
Yes. So when we come back, I want to talk a little bit of what this new shift, what you're doing now, what that brought into your life. You got the career you wanted. So there wasn't like this, we talk on this show, waking up from somebody else's dream. It sounds like you already lived your dream.
Oh, I was happy. I was happy. And I made it a point to be sure to work in a world that I enjoyed, in an environment that I thought was supportive and where I wanted to be and where I could be creative. That's why I worked at Disney for a while. So I think that that's what everybody should do ideally, and not everybody gets to do, so I'm fortunate that I was able to. But yeah, there came a point where I just thought, what else do I love? And I loved volunteering. And so at that point I thought, I'm going to see what it's like to work at a nonprofit, because I have heard it's very different than volunteering, and it is. It's a job.
Great point. So it's a job in nonprofit world.
Yes, and there are so many places to go to look for jobs. Just like many people are familiar with monster.com, go to opportunityknocks.com or idealist.org, and you can find jobs that are in the nonprofit world right where you are, or hopefully close by.
And then so you started working in non-for-profits, and then then you lost that job. Yes. And then you had your shift. You're waking up.
For doing good.
Yes. Was there anything that this new chapter brought into your life that was a bonus? It was a little bit more of what maybe you didn't have before.
I worked for the largest nonprofit in the country, which shall remain nameless, but I did, and it was great, and I enjoyed it, and it was fabulous. I wouldn't change it for the world. However, typically what happens is the larger the nonprofit, the heavier they are on staff, and the lower they are on numbers of volunteers. So when the shift, you can really see that balance give way whenever you look at a startup. When we, for example, are 100% volunteer, hopefully we'll get 1 or 2 salaries here before long.
And what the volunteers bring into that?
For me, it's the volunteers who I interact with every day, and they're who inspire me to keep going.
Yes, and since they're not paid, I assume that they're driven by pure love and passion and emotion.
Yes, and that's a conversation that every nonprofit should have or a government agency that uses volunteers. But everybody should go through that initial conversation of, what are you looking for as a volunteer? What are you wanting to get out of it? And how much time do you have to contribute? Because those and so many other questions are important to be answered so that volunteer can be put into a right fit.
And so now, are these people that you are featuring on the TV show? Is that what the TV show is going to be about?
It's definitely about the people, yes. The volunteers who are out there making it happen every day.
And I love that concept.
Thanks.
It's truly beautiful because, for me, again, that's where the waking up is. It's
exactly.
In giving that we receive, in connecting with that basic human need to serve, and to also see that we can make a difference. It just heals all over, right?
Right. And so many people are volunteering already. And I think it's important to recognize those people who might not realize that they are volunteering. Like, you're a mom of children who are in school. That's so easy to forget and not think about or not give yourself credit for. We want to highlight people like you who, or like any of your viewers, frankly, who are out there making a difference in their own way. And I think people forget that there are government agencies that use volunteers, and also people neglect that churches and temples are often nonprofits. Not all, that's just how it is, but if you teach Sunday school or if you assist a rabbi, then you are volunteering. So I think people can start where they are. That's all they need to do, is just start where they are. If they know that they have an interest, it doesn't have to be a passion. You can just start with an interest.
Yes.
So, or maybe they have one thing that they know they can give. Maybe they realize that they can read a book. And so that would be perfect for the people who are blind who need audiobooks, to have those volunteers go in and simply record those books.
Yes, that's so beautiful.
Oh, it's so impactful.
Yes.
And how many people and families will benefit from them doing that? So it's just a matter of looking a little bit further.
Yes. So I have so many questions, and we're have so little time, but so much information is on doinggood.tv.
Exactly.
Yes. And things like how can we volunteer as a family. Another thing is that I struggle with, and you're right, I am busy. I have 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
My life is so full. So for you to point out that I already, these things that I forget, I really am grateful for that. Then I can be more mindful and more present in those moments, which will then amplify those moments.
Good. I'm so glad. And so we are trying to reach people, like I said earlier, online. And anybody can be a part of our conversation on Facebook or Twitter at Doing Good TV. And so search for us that way. We will soon have an Instagram account. We have one, it's just not going yet. And then, and also on the LinkedIn company page. So be a part of, I hope that every viewer, every listener out there could be a part of doing good, because everybody can make a difference.
It takes so little, right, to be doing good.
Yes.
And perhaps sometimes it only takes a shift on how we look at things that we're doing, or a shift on to see where can we do just a little bit more, and then really make the ripples of change in our world.
That's all it is.
Music is obviously a big part of not just my way of volunteering, but also awakening. I believe music has power to really touch deep within and emotionally encourage people to do good. So Megan brought Debbie. Debbie's a wonderful Nashville artist. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you're going to share with us a song. It's called Fly.
Yes.
It's a beautiful song. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, Fly, I'm actually a jazz recording artist. I sing a lot of jazz. But Fly is a more adult contemporary song that I wrote for my children to encourage them to have courage to believe in their dreams and not get discouraged when they fail.
Yes, and it sounds like it sounds to me like that's a great song for what Megan did in her time of despair. She had courage to fly, and now look at what we're creating. And you said you're a jazz singer, and you contributed your jazz songs to the big fundraiser.
Yes, we held an online fundraising campaign, crowdfunding, that everybody knows about now, and it was on Indiegogo.com, where we raised over $9,500 to fund The Sizzle Reel, which is what is key to selling the TV show. So thanks to her generous donation of a couple of songs and the same thing with a few other musicians, we were able to raise that money.
Debbie, thank you. And we're going to see the song with the kids that you recorded it with?
Mm-hmm. The high school choir that my daughter was in. I brought them in to give them that experience and then also to give back to their school.
Wow. So have courage, get out of your comfort zone, and do good. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Always believe in yourself. Always believe anything's possible. As you stay true to who you are.
To replay this episode and find out more, visit us at wakingupinamerica.net. And we have a surprise over there for you, tools to help you to wake up to the life that you are created for. Thanks for watching. See you next time.